I've been going through my templates lately, wondering what new stuff I could share with you all. And get this, I found this particular template that you guys seem to really love. It's gotten amazing feedback across the board from hundreds of users who've tried it, though there's always that funny 1% who drops a 1-star review for some reason. The feedback has been overwhelmingly positive because it's such a straightforward, compact, and effective system that anyone can learn quickly. I figured this would be perfect to start with, especially for beginners. Just keep in mind that while Notion displays it small here, you'll want to view it in full width to see everything properly. So this is where we'll begin. The system is super simple. You've got your timeline, table, and other features, all built with Notion blocks that you can start using right away. This template has 50 amazing blocks, and I'm planning to expand it to 100 blocks soon to make it even more powerful. If you want to create your own custom Notion setup that works perfectly for your needs and workflow, this is the perfect tool for you. Make sure to visit nimblegod.com to check out Notion blocks. Let's dive right into building this template together. We've got lots of exciting features to cover and explore. Time to get started in Notion. I've got a blank page ready with some basic setup done and my notes organized. I'll call this one Project Timeline. Perfect name for what we're making. Let's add an icon to make it look nice and professional. There we go, Timeline. I can use one of my custom icons for these. What is this that keeps popping up? Don't show this anymore, please. I can use one of my custom icons right here. While I've created some cool ones in the past, I'll keep things simple for now. If you want to make your project pop, you can either design your own icons or use the ones I've included in the template. It's totally up to you. Custom icons really make everything look more professional and put together, and they help create a consistent visual style across your entire workspace. Looking at our database here, we've got different features and fields that each do something specific. Let's start fresh with that same database, making sure we're all on the same page. We'll build this step by step, starting with a basic table view as the foundation. I click on the Table View option to organize everything neatly in rows and columns. Once I pick this view, Notion creates a fresh, empty table that's ready for me to work with. Next, I keep things super simple. I just copy and paste the same name across different entries in the table. That's literally all we need right now. Nothing fancy, just labeling each entry as table, table, table. Let's call it project name. Yeah, project name it is, and we're good. A clear name keeps everything organized. Now, let's create a template for our next steps. Create a new template and name it New Project. We don't need extra properties yet, but we'll add an icon to make it more visually organized and easier to spot in our workspace. This will help keep everything clean and consistent. I'm using the timeline icon for this one. Save and exit. Set it as the default template for all views in our workspace, then move to the next step in our setup process. Now we'll delete this specific file to keep things organized. I'll remove the first one and recreate it so everything has the icon, making sure each entry is consistent and properly formatted. The current names are fine as they are and don't need any changes. Let's add one more thing. Actually, let's add a select field for better organization and project management. We'll call it Phase. That's exactly what we need right now for tracking our project stages and keeping milestones clear. And set it to manual sorting to keep everything in perfect order. Time to add some options. Design. Plan. Let's add planning, development, launch, and review as our main phases that we'll need to track throughout the project lifecycle. Perfect. That completes our process setup nicely. I'll quickly organize everything to keep it clean and tidy for better workflow management. I'm building this database as our foundation, which we'll use to create the timeline and other views later. Now let's add a status field. For this demo, I'll pick Select again, though you could also use the Status option if you prefer. Both Status and Select work just fine for this. I want to stick exactly to the main template that everyone loved so much. That's why I'm going with Select. Time to name it. Let's add a status field. I'll keep it simple and skip the icons for now. You can always add those later, or just grab them from the template if you want everything pre-made. This will help us track progress more effectively across all our projects. Now, I'll add a few options to this field. I'll set these progress statuses to blue to keep things organized and easy to identify at a glance, make pending yellow for better visibility and tracking throughout the project timeline, and use a nice, bright, completed green to easily spot finished tasks and celebrate achievements with the team. We should also add on hold in gray. This status is great for projects that need to be paused temporarily or when waiting for external dependencies and approvals from team members or stakeholders. This helps keep everything clearly organized in our workspace. And that wraps up our status options nicely. Moving on to priority next. For priority, we'll use another select field. This lets us create nice preset options that we can easily choose from when organizing our tasks. Oops, forgot to name it. There we go, priority. Now let's add some priority levels that make sense for organizing and tracking our different tasks efficiently. We'll include medium and low priority levels and give them some nice distinct colors too that help them stand out. Green means it's good to go, perfect for when everything's on track. For medium priority, yellow or blue work great, and we save red for those super important high priority items. I'll grab a couple of these examples to show you what I mean. Oh wait, I forgot to copy them. Let me copy those again real quick. I'll throw in a pending option too, and that wraps up this part of our database. Let me think for a sec. What else should we add here? Are we missing anything important? Oh yeah, we need a progress field. We'll set it up as a number. Since we're keeping things simple, you'll need to update the progress manually. We're not going for anything fancy here with complex formulas or roll-ups. Just a straightforward system where you can easily track your progress yourself without having to learn any complicated features or settings. This way, anyone can jump right in and start using it effectively from day one. Let's name this field Progress. Nice and straightforward. I want to keep it super clear what this field does. When I put in a value like 10, I'll add a % sign to show it's tracking progress as a percentage. Oops, what's this filter doing here? My bad. Let's fix that. We'll go into number settings, make it a percentage as it's much better for our progress needs, and start filling in some values. 10, 20, had to fix that typo. 30, 40, 50. Just keep adding those percentages, taking it step by step to make sure everything's spot on. There's our progress tracker. Like I said, I'll skip changing icons to keep this moving along. Let me check what else we need to add here. I can't quite see my notes since they're locked, which is a bit annoying, but I remember we definitely need to add dates. We'll need both start and end dates to properly track our project timeline. I'll pick the date property type from the options and first set up our start date. Then I'll duplicate it to create our end date property. This way we can track when things begin and finish in a clear and organized manner. I'll just clean up that extra number we don't need, and there we go. Our date tracking is all set up and ready for project planning. Now I'll just add some sample dates here and copy them across all our entries. Let me paste that over here too. Perfect. Now what's next on our list? Let me think. Yes, assignees. We need to add a person property to track who's responsible for each task and make sure nothing falls through the cracks during project execution. I'll create that field now and give it a clear name. For now, I'll assign myself to these tasks since I've been working on alone and solo for all my projects, keeping things simple and straightforward in my personal workflow. Oh wait, I just remembered something important. I need to check the layout settings for my properties. Actually, the wrap column is already turned on. I just need to adjust the sizing to fit everything nicely on 2 lines and make sure all the content displays properly without any awkward line breaks or formatting issues. I'll also double check that everything aligns perfectly with our layout preferences. No worries though, let's keep moving forward. What else do we need to add? The template isn't showing up right now, which is a bit frustrating. Let me check the original one real quick. Well, this is annoying. I can't even access the template properly on Notion Marketplace. Looks like it's completely locked down. I can only see the stuff. That's not ideal, but no problem. I remember what we need to do. Next up, let's add a multi-select field. Let's add a multi-select field key tasks to track our main project objectives and organize responsibilities. These key tasks represent the core activities we need to focus on. Once we've got those set up, we can add more detailed tasks to flesh out our project planning. We'll include standard project phases like planning, research, design, development, testing, quality assurance, and final review. These cover the full project lifecycle from initial concept through development stages all the way to final implementation and delivery. Development, testing, and those essential steps. Let's keep moving forward with our setup and make sure we have everything properly organized for the next steps. What's next? Right, we need milestones. Let me pull that up at the top. Let's think about how we want to structure our project timeline. Okay, I think I've got it figured out. That's exactly what we need. Let me open this up to make things clearer. Looks like Notion's being a bit tricky here. Well, this is completely revealed. I had a milestone, I had notes, let me think. Oh, I had this one too. We'll also add Duration AI to help track our timelines. I'll show you how to set these up with some AI assistance. First, let's create a checkbox. Yep, a checkbox is what we need. Let me name this checkbox milestone to mark our key project points. Looking at our tasks, I'll mark which ones are major milestones. Marking milestones. Yes, yes, no, no, yes. Perfect. Now for our next addition, we'll add a text field for tracking time. AI. Actually, let's make it a text field. We'll call it duration. That's exactly what we need. Great. Let's name it duration and adjust those end dates quickly to make sure everything lines up properly with our timeline so we can effectively track our project progress and milestones. Back to our duration field. I'm clicking on Setup Autofill, then Custom Autofill to configure it properly for our project timeline tracking. Let me show you. We'll tell it to check the start and end dates and calculate the total days for each task, which gives us a clear overview of how long our project activities will take to complete and helps us better plan our resources and deadlines throughout the entire process, ensuring smooth project execution from start to finish with minimal delays or bottlenecks, while maintaining clear visibility and control over every phase of the project timeline and its various components. Perfect. Let's save these changes. Next, I'll click Auto Update and trigger one of these tasks to check our results and make sure everything is calculating correctly. Looking at this task, it runs for 16 days from May 15th, 2025 to May 31st, 2025. Perfect. It's calculating correctly. Now we'll use the autofill option to update all pages at once. This will save us some time and keep everything consistent. Just give it a moment to finish calculating and updating. Let's keep things simple here. I'll close this page and let it process. We don't need this milestone anymore. The milestone indicator isn't necessary since we can already see it in the row. Great, it's finished updating. I'll duplicate this duration field to save some setup time. Feel free to add notes if you want. They can be really helpful for tracking progress and important details. I'm going to tweak some settings. You can choose between automatic or manual note adding. Notion can handle these tasks for us, but I'll turn off auto notes since you might prefer adding them yourself and having more control over what gets recorded. This gives you complete flexibility to add detailed notes whenever and however you want. Adding notes is super straightforward. It's really that simple. Now that we've finished setting up our database step by step, everything's ready to go exactly as planned, and you can start using it right away. For our next step, we'll work with the table phase. Let's head to the group settings. Just select group, pick phase, and that's it. Now you can see all the phases laid out nicely in an organized flow. It automatically groups everything by their assigned phase. Nice and organized, making project tracking a breeze, just like that. The view shows everything organized by design phase and other important stages throughout the process. We can customize how these groups appear by showing or hiding them as needed based on our workflow preferences. Let's wrap up the phase section. Now that our database is set up and running smoothly, we can explore its different views. I see the asset stress timeline, but we'll come back to that later. Let's make a copy of this. We'll name it Timeline, keeping it simple and clear, and switch the view type to Timeline to match. Quick and easy. The timeline view is super handy, showing all our phases automatically in a clear and organized way that makes project tracking effortless. If that works for you, feel free to keep it that way. But I prefer sticking with the original template layout since it's more effective. I'm going to remove the phase grouping completely. I'll select none since I want a clean view without groups, but I still want to keep all my property columns. Speaking of properties, I want to see who's working on each task, the phase it's in, plus priority level, status, and a progress bar to track completion effectively and stay on top of project milestones. I'll move the progress bar before status for better visual organization, and we're good to go. Feel free to add any key tasks, recurring reminders, or other important details you need for comprehensive project tracking and seamless workflow management throughout the entire project lifecycle. And there you have it. Now I can customize task dates easily. Just drag and drop them anywhere on the timeline. Arrange them however works best for my project schedule, just like you would in real project planning and task management. A cool feature in the timeline view is setting up task dependencies. You can link tasks together and decide if you want them to automatically shift when connected. You can also choose to keep start and end dates separate or combined. Personally, I prefer leaving tasks where they are and moving them manually when needed for better control over my project timeline and to maintain flexibility throughout the entire project management process. Let me show you how to link tasks. I'll connect this one to that one and then adjust the dependency settings real quick, and done. Notion was being a bit finicky at first, but after a quick refresh, everything's working perfectly. Now I can show you how these tasks are connected to each other and flow together seamlessly. See how these tasks flow together? This one needs to finish before we can start the next one. You can organize them however makes sense for your workflow. Let me highlight this to show you better. With titles visible, it's super easy to track everything, whether you're looking at specific dates or checking the main details. You can even pin important tasks and add custom labels to highlight key milestones along the way. The visual organization makes it simple to spot bottlenecks and track progress at a glance. But let's move on. We've covered the timeline view pretty well. What else should we look at? Right. We've got our status board. It shows all our tasks organized by their current status. Let's head back to our timetable and make a copy. Setting up the board view is super straightforward. Just pick board in the layout options and you can customize it however you want. Adjust the size, add some color, or keep it simple. Let's enable or disable the color column. It's actually super simple and straightforward. I'll name this view board, set the field to status, and group everything by status for better organization and clarity throughout the entire project lifecycle and future updates. Perfect. Now, let's configure our properties carefully. We'll show the end date, priority, duration, and progress to keep everything in check. Let's mirror these settings here too for consistency across views. So we've got duration and priority set up just the way we need them. Next up is adding the progress bar. We can display both start and end dates instead of just the end date. Let me check something. It's only showing the end date because I didn't separate the dates when creating the timeline initially. Looking at the dependencies and settings more carefully, you can see I accidentally skipped that important step. The option was right there before, but I missed it during setup, which is a common thing that happens when you're focused on building multiple views at once. I forgot to click that separate start and end dates option, but no worries. Everything still works fine. It's really that straightforward, and you can customize it with images or other features. Nothing complicated about it. Want to add an image? Just click here and select card size. Actually, I meant select card view, then choose either page cover or page content. For page cover, to add a cover image, click Change by Link. I'll hop over to Pexels, grab an image link from my photo collection, paste it back in Notion, and boom, there's our cover. The whole process takes just a few seconds and looks really professional. You can even preview the image before confirming to make sure it fits perfectly with your dashboard layout. This simple technique lets you customize any view with beautiful visuals that match your style and preferences perfectly. No need to download anything, just paste the link and you're all set. Just like magic, you've got a photo, and it's totally up to you whether to use one or not. You can customize it however you want. Let's check out our different views: calendar, board, and team view. Since we already set up the board earlier, I'll just mention that for this version, we're grouping by team members instead for better organization and easier tracking of individual responsibilities. The calendar view is pretty straightforward, and there's nothing complicated about it. We've got our status view here too, which is basically the same. I've simply duplicated this setup below. Super simple stuff. Here's a cool trick. I grabbed a copy link from the view. Want to know how? Just scroll down. Once you've got some space, connect the databases together. Create a new one from that link and it'll be linked to the original. Any changes you make to one will show up in the other. Let's add a heading with Ctrl+Shift+3 and give it a name. For instance, we'll call it status, and now you've got total control over your layout. You can even remove parts you don't need or rearrange sections as you see fit for your specific workflow and preferences. Let's say you want to arrange things side by side. Know what I mean? It's simple. Just place one database next to another and add titles. We're building a custom dashboard here. The copy link to view feature is super handy for this. I can take my timeline view, copy its link, create a separate database, and boom, I've got a standalone timeline that's ready to use and customize exactly how I want it. Now I'll remove the timeline from here and check it out. We've got a fresh timeline view ready for a title. Let's call it timeline, and I'll add some spacing between elements to keep everything clean and organized. We've got status phase. You could even label it table or whatever works for you. Let's name these board and timeline for better clarity and navigation. This timeline view is exactly what we need for managing our projects effectively. Now we're showing status, phases, and the timeline all at once in a simple, easy to understand layout. And just like that, we're done. Look how easily we created this dashboard. Actually, it's even better than I expected. Once you get this database downloaded or created yourself, you can easily extract all its pages and views. Then arrange them exactly how you want in your workspace to create a custom layout that fits your needs perfectly. Just like I showed you here, and there's so much more you can do. Let me demonstrate. I'll grab the link from this view. I'll scroll down, paste it in, and add the database view link just like before. Then I'll carefully rename this link to chart, making sure I spell it right to keep everything organized and clear. Next, I switch the layout to chart and we're ready to go. Now I can customize this chart however I want. It's super flexible and easy to work with. Want to see the breakdown by status or phase? No problem. It's super simple to set up. Want to track how many tasks are done versus not done? You can see it right here in this helpful visualization. I'll add it to the bottom of the chart too. Let's make it a donut chart. You can visualize your data any way you need to. Check this out. If I want to organize by status, I just select it and the chart updates automatically. It shows me exactly what I need. One task completed, one in progress, one on hold, and one pending. Simple as that. After setting everything up, I'll add a title to finish it off. Now, back to our main template. Remember when I mentioned blocks? This is exactly what I meant. I started with a basic database and turned it into something with multiple useful views. Let me show you what I just did. I created a custom dashboard from a simple database, arranging it exactly how I wanted. Maybe you'd prefer the timeline at the bottom. That's totally fine. Don't like the status view? No problem. You can swap it out for something else like tags. It's super flexible like that. What I'm working on with blocks is pretty exciting. Think of it as Lego pieces for your workspace. I'm putting together hundreds of ready-made databases and powerful templates that you can easily mix and match however you want to create something amazing. Just like building your dream workspace piece by piece with endless possibilities. You can use these databases to build your own perfect dashboard or even create a complete life planner from scratch. And if you'd rather skip the DIY route, you can grab my pre-made life planner that I use every day to stay organized and productive. I've tested it thoroughly myself, and I know it can make a real difference for you too. Give it a try. And there we have it. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more tips on building amazing Notion workspaces like this one.